Alright, everyone, time to take a look at the final episode of the day, which is the Three Stooges Great Baseball. I'm sorry, the Three Stooges Super Baseball. That's what I meant to say. Sorry. Anyway, Shoji's riding his motorcycle with a brand, talking about how he's usually treated like a nuisance. Eventually, they come across Cameo, who is fleeing for his life and nearly gets run over. He informs them that there are a gravestone, a telephone, and a motorcycle by the dogs who accosted them. Knowing he was talking about, the two Giant Rangers go and meet up with the three Gorma Stooges who are just standing around bored. Once they see Shoji and Ren, they grovel at their feet, begging for forgiveness. They explain that they are leaving the Gorma, but Zen has ordered them to challenge the Giant Rangers to a baseball match. If they win, they can get their freedom. Otherwise, if they lose, they will be destroyed. So they plead the Giant Rangers to lose purposefully. President Gravestone mentions how no one will listen to such President Gravestone mentions how no one listens to nuisances, starting Curry with Shoji, who decides to take them up their offer, shaking Box Kamikaze's hand as a pact between men. Ren is concerned that the Stooges may be lying, but Shoji is willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Later, telephones start ringing non-stop over the city, even after being picked up or disconnected, drawing the Giant Rangers' attention. When they pick up one of these phones, they hear Teacher Telephone's voice challenging them to the baseball game in 1 hour, or else the phones will never stop ringing. True to form, they show up at the ballpark, where the Stooges have assembled a team of Capoteros. Kamikaze gives each of the Giant Rangers blue caps rigged with explosives, explaining that should they lose the game or try to take them off beforehand, they will explode. Shoji, however, knew of this arrangement beforehand, as he remembers Gravestone mentioning that the explosives are fake and will release smoke if triggered, allowing the Stooges to make their getaway. Agreeing to this, the Giant Rangers transform and put the caps on, as well as the Gorma team with similar black caps, and the game is ready to start, with Cameo serving as the umpire. Gravestone bats first. He gives the Gorma team the advantage by knocking Home Ranger and Kieran Ranger out of first and second bases, securing them. Later, when it comes Kamikaze's turn at the bat, he uses the human pinball technique by batting the ball with such violence that it strikes down all the Giant Rangers, save for Tenma Ranger at the pitching mound, before returning to Kamikaze, whereupon he bats a home run. Since the Gorma had the bases loaded, they score 4 points, with Kamikaze completing his run riding the Ryujin. At the interval between the turn change, Tenma Ranger starting to have doubts about this, but assures his teammates that everything's alright and he can handle things. At the bottom of the 4th inning, the Stooges are still ahead 4-0, and the Giant Rangers already have one batter out. Kamikaze uses super fast pitching to try to take Kieran Ranger out, but uses the slow footage technique to visualize their trajectory and hit. However, the ball came with such force that it stuck to the bat, fizzing out as its momentum keeps it spinning. To save the ball, however, he hands off for the first base, while leaving the bat and ball with the Capotero, whereupon they blow up. Shishi Ranger, in the meantime, dashes for the home plate, outsmarting Telephone by creating copies of himself, which distract her as he makes the run, scoring the Giant Rangers' first point. As the game goes on, the situation does not change, so they come to the bottom of the 9th with the score still 4-1 in favor of the Gorma, meaning the Giant Rangers will need a home run with bases loaded to win the game. However, they have 2 out, and the responsibility falls to Holo Ranger, who's next up at bat. She's up to the home plate and turned back to Rin, but now wearing a short Kipao and using her feminine wiles to throw off Kamikaze's pitching. It works. He pitches a dead ball to her thigh, and she takes the first base. Kieran Ranger comes next with the same results. Next up is Rio Ranger, who sends the ball away for a home run with Lightning Slash. However, Kamikaze commands the ball to come back, failing as he called it as a boomerang ball, and exploded on contact with the Rio Ranger, taking him out of the game. With no batters left, all seems lost for the Giant Rangers. Akiba Ranger makes his entrance, volunteering to bat a Rio Ranger's place. The White Giant Ranger used his scattered echo technique to hit the ball back with enough force to make the Capoteros fumble and catch the Giant Rangers to load the 3 bases. Finally, Tenma Ranger steps up to bat, questioning whether Kamikaze is truly being honest about their compromise. He wanted to talk to that earlier, including Rita voicing her concerns, but is willing to trust them until the end. Thinking about the source's focus, and he gets 2 strikes. Just as ready for the 3rd strike, however, Kamikaze goes back into his word and throws the ball to the dugout, hitting Rear Ranger, whereupon his cap flies off and explodes near Tenma Ranger, hurting him hard enough to undo his tension. Weakened but angry, Joji tries to remind Kamikaze about the promise he made, but secretly replies that it was made so long ago that he forgot about it. Incensed, Joji stands up and turns to Tenma Ranger again out of sheer force of will. Going to finish off the Dire Rangers, Kamikaze uses training a ball pitch, but Tenma Ranger, angrily telling him to disappear, knocks the ball out of the park, causing his team to win the game, and the caps on the Stooges' heads explode for real. The 3 of them soon grow giant, to which Rear Ranger Kiba Ranger respond performing the Ruseo and one Tiger, who combine to form the Kiba Dio after Ruseo bats baseball kicks back at the Stooges with the mythical key flying dragon rod. The Gorba minions' attacks are unable to phase the Kiba Dio, which defeats them by knocking Kamikaze into the others, with Ten Ranger declaring that they really are nothing but nuisances after all. Later, the Dire Rangers are playing baseball by themselves in the park, in a much tamer way, of course, when Cerebro runs up to Shoji, who is laying away from his teammates. As they ask him to send the ball back, he soon throws away angrily, shouting, "Idiots!" Far from there, the Stooges, all made and patched up, feel like they hear someone calling them, but quickly say they're just imagining things, as they hobble away, concluding that, as nuisances, no one could care about them. Aww. So anyway, let's take a look at some notes from this episode. Although Kiba Ranger disappeared in this episode, he only appears in suit. Code does not return until episode 28. The logos used for both the Stooges and the Dire Ranger are similar to those of actual baseball teams. The stylized G used for the Gorman Stooges is similar to that of either Yomiuri or San Francisco Giants. The stylized D of the Dire Rangers is the same used for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Shoji is also seen wearing Dodgers uniform throughout this episode. When the Dire Rangers do their team pose this time, they take a pitching stance instead of their typical kick movement. So I think this episode is kind of interesting, and yeah, let me just say you can't trust those Stooges no matter what you think of them. So yeah. So overall, I give the Three Stooges Super Baseball three Megazords out of 5. When I tune in more as we to the next episode, Droves of Evil Sentai. So until then, in the words of Zordon, may the power protect you.